asking for money, but then used the money on trip. The GoFundMe was used to replenish lost funds on necessities. However, I irresponsibly prioritized this trip. I'm going to use this video to be as transparent and open as possible to you, the viewer, because many people want answers and want to hear my side, and I want to take expressed accountability. Justifiably, many people are angry, and I do not fault them for that. However, some people are not treating this situation with the maturity and respect that it deserves. For the past day, I've been receiving consistent threats, disgusting images being made of me, dox threats, swatting threats, and many people have come away thinking that I'm a predator, which is not the case. Wolfgang was 17 years old while I am 20 myself. This case is maybe, but he's almost 18, so it's okay, understandably degenerate. This situation is absolutely criticizable, but this situation has nothing to do with predator allegations, and this is something that Gwamgo himself has made clear numerous times, and this was never once alleged in his video. So, comparing this situation to the likes of Kufi, EDP, Ava Chris Tyson, or Konako Kitin does a disservice to their victims in the process, and trivializes actual trauma children go through from predators. And many people are even going as far as to compare me to the Austrian painter, showing a complete lack of maturity when it comes to this situation. Now, over the course of the past week, an extremely personal and private situation has been revealed to the public, so I feel it necessary to discuss the situation openly on my platform, provide the full context being payment receipts, debunk the misinformation being spread, but also most importantly, take complete and unilateral accountability for the GoFundMe and my extremely impulsive actions in the process that have harmed people who were my friends and violated the trust of people who looked up to me. I am not asking for forgiveness from this video, only that you simply hear my entire side before casting any final judgment after the video ends. I'm going to be as transparent as possible in this video, proving that everyone is being actively refunded, while also proving that the money from the GoFundMe was only used for rent and food as advertised. However, taking accountability regardless for being extremely negligent with my finances and indirectly having broke the trust of my viewer base by indirectly scamming by definition. I will also do my best to censor explicit aspects of this situation, not only for viewer well-being, but also because it is extremely personal to me. Now, this all started due to a situation I had with another commentary YouTuber named Internet Adjacent, who once again was 17. Now, somehow people who were unaware of the actual context to this situation claimed that this was a situation pertaining to, when that is simply not true, the other party was older than me. This situation, however, was extremely serious in its own regard, and was emotionally taxing on both parties to deal with, and it involved allegations of me having felt pressured and pushed at times into engaging sexually with Wolfgang, despite me not reciprocating and my body language clearly showing how uncomfortable I was, with me having provided numerous screenshots corroborating the fact that in private messages I was disengaged, created excuses, or erred to avoid sexual contact after we met. What has been used, however, to somehow prove that I've lied in this have been examples of fawn responses I made in reply, subtly conceding to these propositions, merely to avoid conflict. Situations to do with consent are complicated, very intricate, and should be treated seriously. Older messages made before we met up have been used to spin the narrative that I was open to doing it when we were in person. This is not true. A multitude of factors made it so. I didn't feel comfortable. However, I have always had a problem with saying no directly. I can confirm that I was behind the XD Gamer 420 channel, and furthermore, Wolfgang is getting a mental health evaluation, as he himself acknowledges that he is not good at understanding body language or social cues. Now, due to the situation initially being slowly discussed to more people behind the scenes, commentary YouTubers were essentially pushing for this all to become public. I, however, expressly wanted this not to become a public spectacle because it covered extremely fragile topics in relation to me that I did not want out. So on numerous occasions I was seen telling mutuals and to Wolfgang himself for both of us to leave this situation alone and not escalate the problem, as it was extremely stressful. However, due to internal pushing from other parties, Internet Adjacent came out on 10th November with his Google document to get ahead of the situation. And this put me in an extremely stressful and compromising position. I had initially believed we had agreed to May. I want this to stay private, but I felt obligated to address everything because staying silent would make me look dishonest. Even though the situation was emotional and personal, I knew I'd be mocked. and I ignored advice from mutuals to disengage. When it went public, I rushed out my document out of fear of being called a liar. Because of that fear, I overshared things that never should have been made public. It wasn't malicious, but it was irresponsible and self-destructive. I act impulsively, misread criticism, and lash out when I'm not in a good headspace, but that doesn't excuse how I treated friends. Gwamgo and others were right to criticize me. I don't want to be defended. I didn't share the document on my channel or Discord, but the damage was done. I should have asked for proper advice instead of releasing it at 20 while panicking. I also understand why people criticized the purchases I made for internet adjacent, his ticket, passport, laptop, and phone. It looked like I used GoFundMe money for luxuries, even though it was meant for rent and essentials. My financial decisions were reckless and not transparent. I can prove the GoFundMe money went to university accommodation and food, and my funds have dropped by $4,500 since October while I dealt with temporary homelessness and a domestic abuse situation. Still, my lack of transparency was deceptive. I take full accountability for indirectly scamming people. I'm refunding every donor with money my dad transferred to me, and I will never make a GoFundMe again. I bought the plane ticket because I was desperate for social contact during a stressful period where family made threats that overwhelmed me. Internet adjacent was also desperate and believed meeting would help him. Prices rose and I rushed the purchase. It reflected loneliness and panic, not malicious intent. The phone and laptop were replacements after police confiscated my devices due to a false report. I needed them for communication and content creation, but I wasn't transparent, and that's my fault. I understand why people assumed I was broke. To Gwamgo and others who were dragged into this, I'm sorry. My behavior hurt people around me, and this wasn't the first time. I also apologize for past politically charged and abrasive comments. My views have changed after speaking to new people and educating myself. I want to prove change through actions, not just words. To Rin, my response during your crisis was selfish. To Taz-D, I believed unverified claims. To Tanuki Alex, I misinterpreted your attempts to help as attacks and reacted aggressively. None of that is excusable. While I disagree with some people she signal boosted, that doesn't justify my behavior or the irrelevant things I brought up. My mistakes don't make objectively harmful individuals innocent. Some people are using this situation to re-platform predators, and that's unacceptable. No one expected this level of irresponsibility, but it's not surprising given my behavior. My plan now is to step away from the Parlo name, take time off, and work on myself. I need to change, and I want to show that through actions, not repeated apologies.